1987 සිට නව්‍යකරණයෙන් ශ්‍රී ලාංකේය බැංකු ක්ෂේත්‍රයේ පෙරලියක් සිදු කළ අභිමානවත් 30 වසරක සැමරුම සම්පත් බැංකුව හෙට දින එළිය කරයි.
Tonight, trade union action. Hospitals crippled after doctors from GMOA initiate strike action over Saitam. Schools and transport unaffected.
First at 9. This is Other Derana 24/7.
Also making headlines, President reacts, states the trade union action is unfair when solutions already provided. Bond issue. AG department states they will file action against culprits if they wish. Shake up in cricket. Aravind De Silva steps down from cricket committee chairman post. And in international headlines, taken to the skies with maiden jet flight, China entered dogfight with Boeing and Airbus. Good evening, Mahesh Johnny with Other Derana 24/7. As trade unions across the island engage in a strike today, we begin tonight with the remarks from the President. President Maithripala Sirisena states that it is regrettable to witness how certain parties engage in trade union action in accordance with their political agendas, while principal decisions pertaining to the Saitam issue have already been made. The head of state made the remarks at an event held in Anuradhapura today.
The President was addressing the function organised to unveil the newly built statue of Lord Buddha at the local government complex premises in Anuradhapura today.
I asked from the chairman of the GMOA yesterday as to why would he be conducting this strike. The first demand is to vest Saitam in the public. The entire country knows that we have taken principal decisions regarding this issue over the past few months. We made it a requirement for Saitam students to get clinical training at government hospitals. We issued a directive for Saitam students to face an examination approved by the University Grants Commission and the Sri Lanka Medical Council. We announced that the basic requirement for a medical degree must be gazetted. The government decided to take over the private hospital attached to Saitam. We gave a directive to list the institute in the stock market. We decided that Saitam must be taken over by a director board appointed by the government. What more should we do about this?
Touching on recent speculation regarding the country entering into agreements with foreign nations, President Sirisena reiterated that the government will not sign any agreement which would be unfavourable to the country.
Some issues that aren't even remotely connected to the Saitam Institute have become demands related to today's strike. A demand among them is a call for a policy decision to be taken on the trade agreements with foreign nations. A strike is not necessary for this. To date, this government has not entered into any trade agreement with any country. Neither have such agreements been tabled for cabinet approval. I must clearly mention that we were appointed to protect our motherland. We weren't appointed to sell parts of the country to some other nation or to violate the rights of citizens by entering into agreements.
At a separate event in Anuradhapura, President Maithripala Sirisena vested with the public the newly constructed 87 million rupee administrative building of Thammankadua Divisional Secretariat.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe revealed the government's expectations to build a strong economy by 2020 with the ability to pay back foreign debt. The Premier made the revelation at an event in Uwa Parnagama Yalagamua today.
The event to establish the youth village of export agriculture in Yalgamu in the Uwa Paranagama Divisional Secretariat was held under the patronage of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe today.
The revenue of the government has increased today. What we want is to build a strong economy by 2020 which is capable enough to pay back foreign debt. We are increasing the government revenue systematically. When that happens, we don't have to borrow any loans. We are supposed to pay inland debt amounting to 960 billion rupees. These are debts accumulated by loans during 2008, 2009 and 2010. And then we are supposed to pay foreign exchange amounting to 15 billion US dollars. That is why we are looking forward to building a country which has an export economy.
Now, one of the major talking points across the country today was the trade union action launched by the Government Medical Officers Association. Various other trade unions also engaged in strike throughout the country, highlighting three major demands, including vesting Saitam in public. Even though the hospitals protested against Saitam across the country, educational and transport services functioned as per usual. Several trade unions did not join hands with the protest against Saitam.
15 trade unions representing transport, health and educational services launched a strike while 200 other trade unions supported it. Educational and transport services, however, functioned as per usual. The trade union action commenced at 8 a.m. today and due to continue for 24 hours till 8 a.m. tomorrow. Their protest is mainly aimed at the government's handling of issues surrounding the Saitam. Vesting Saitam in public, stoppage of foreign pacts such as ETCA, which are malignant to the country, and stoppage to the privatization of government institutions are included in their demands.
We have no objection in calling off this strike if they arrive at a fair solution. We hope that this strike will go on successfully.
Association of Medical Specialists, however, will not participate in the trade union actions.
We believe the Sri Lanka Medical Council should be the supreme body to supervise medical education in the country. However, the AMA is not against private medical education. We don't have a demand to nationalize the Saitam. So what we want is the private medical education can continue supervised by a professional body and regulated. So why we have not taken part in this trade union action is because the demand by the Government Medical Officers Association is little different to what we demand.
The strike continued in several hospitals, including the National Hospital, the Kandy Teaching Hospital, Colombo North Teaching Hospital Ragama and Karapitiya Teaching Hospital as well as Jaffna Teaching Hospital.
We are very much affected by this strike. We are heart patients and maybe they don't care about us, so we live with great difficulty.
Even though the doctors strike, the sicknesses won't. They earn money through private hospitals. In the end, it is the public who are affected.
They're not giving medicine, it seems.
We are in so much pain and it is not fair to strike and deprive us of medicine.
The government is responsible for all of these strikes.
Intensive care units, accident wards and emergency services, however, were operational during the day. The strike also did not affect the daily functions of the Lady Ridgeway Children's Hospital, Castle Street Hospital, Sirimavo Bandaranaike Hospital, Disoisa Hospital, Cancer Hospital Maharagama and kidney treatment units at hospitals island-wide. 7 doctors attached to the Padukka Hospital, however, offered their services to the patients. Meanwhile, the Neville Fernando hospitals decided to treat the patients free of charge throughout the day.
Our outpatients department is operational and free of charge. We are supplying residential facilities for necessary patients.
In the meantime, addressing a media briefing in Colombo today, the GMOA said that the strike was successful.
OPD services and clinical services completely failed to function as we aimed.
No matter how much the government boasts, no matter how much they shout saying the trade union action will fail, the whole country knows that the strike was a success.
Despite a number of trade unions in the transport sector pledging their support to the strike launched by the Government Medical Officers Association, most of the trains to and fro from the Petaya railway station today functioned as per usual. Railway services, however, were disrupted by the afternoon, with the main control room revealing that the cancellation of all night mail services commencing from the central, northern and eastern provinces.
Various trade unions in the railway sector, including the All Ceylon Railway Employees General Union, Railway Technical Officers Association and the Railway Trade Union Alliance, refrained from reporting to work in support of the anti-Saitam trade union action. The Superintendent of Railway Operations, Vijaya Samarasinghe, however, said 80% of trains functioned during the day despite the strike.
Among the inconveniences, we had to cancel around 20% of the trains. If passengers were inconvenienced by this trade union action, the Sri Lanka Railways would like to apologise.
The Superintendent of Railway Operations added action will be taken against a guard of the Colombo-Rambukkana train who got off at Dematagoda. Commuters, meanwhile, expressed their views on the trade union action.
I got to know that there will be a trade union action today. I did not face any difficulty when reaching Colombo. Trains functioned as usual. The only train to be cancelled was the train to Mathura from Petta.
The Locomotive Operating Engineers Union affirmed that they will continue the trade action till 8 a.m. tomorrow.
If the government agrees to hold discussions, we will call off the strike.
General Manager of Sri Lanka Railways, BAP Aryaratna, voiced his views on the trade union action.
Although they claim the trade union action will commence at 8 in the morning, some of them had started even before 8. It's a violation of ethics. Only 2 trade unions engaged in the strike. None of the other trade unions took part.
Despite certain trade unions of the SLTB joining the trade union action, all bus services across the country functioned as per usual.
The Court of Appeal has issued summons today to the President of the Government Medical Officers Association, Dr. Anuruddha Padeniya. Accordingly, he is summoned to appear before the courts on the 22nd of this month. Dr. Anuruddha Padeniya was issued summons after considering a petition filed against him for contempt of court. The petition is filed by Professor Sarath Vijayasuriya and Gamini Viyangoda. The counsel for the complainants highlighted that Dr. Padeniya had criticized the appeals court ruling on the Saitam issue at an event held in Colombo on the 7th of April. In other local stories, politicians expressed their views over the strike action carried out by the Government Medical Officers Association.
Most people who protest now did not do so during former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's regime. It's difficult to run a country when there is too much democracy. I personally agree to the full implementation of the principles of democracy. At times, however, we have encountered difficulties.
Tell me one sector that did not go on protest during the last 2.5 years. Students as well as professionals have begun demanding their rights.
The government has to bear expenditure when strikes as these are carried out. They tend to forget this when they are consumed by the greed for power. We are organizing ourselves to face the situation. We will not shoot at protesters or kidnap them using white vans. Instead, we will resort to dialogue and take necessary action for the continuation of essential services.
The strike was a failure. The power and electricity sector did not go on strike. Neither did the SLTB bus drivers. Teachers nor students went on strike. It was only a group of doctors who carried out this strike.
We are disappointed about the GMOA, which is heading the strike action. They have insulted the profession by prioritizing their political agendas. I would like to mention to Dr. Padeniya that he should quit the medical profession if he wants to engage in politics. You have halted service at government hospitals while taking appointments for your private channeling sessions in the evenings. We clearly understand what your intentions are.
Welcome back, everyone. We're staying with the strike by the Government Medical Officers Association. Today, various unions and associations related to the education sector supported the island-wide strike against Saitam.
12 unions, including the Ceylon Teachers Union, Ceylon Teacher Services Union, Principals Service Union, as well as non-academic staff unions of the schools engaged in the strike today. Many schools, however, followed their normal routine. Some of the trade union secretaries expressed their views on the strike.
At the beginning, over 50,000 teachers engaged in this strike. The government should understand the message implied by this. The Minister of Education attempted to weaken the campaign by influencing teachers who were to report sick through the police and their supporters, as well as principals with whom he closely associates. The probationary teachers were threatened not to participate in the strike.
Inter-University Students' Federation, the Association of Medical Faculties, Lecturers and 5 other associations too engaged in the strike today. The Minister of Education, Akila Viraj Karyavasam, meanwhile expressed his views on the strike.
This is one of the most unsuccessful strikes in recent history. Every school in the country functioned as per usual, except the central colleges of Kakirawa and Tangol. Through this, they should learn that the countrywide masses have rejected the strike by extremist factions.
Moving on to business news now, Sri Lankan Airlines has recorded an unaudited group loss of 6.49 billion rupees for the financial year before finance and one-off charges. According to the airline, this is an increase from the 2.90 billion rupees loss recorded in the prior year. However, the airline states that it is a significant improvement from the deficit that has been budgeted for the year. The losses comes in the wake of falling oil prices. Based on the draft accounts, the total operational revenue increased to 136.68 billion rupees from 129.48 billion rupees in the prior year. However, everything is not in the red. The airline marked an year of transformation by carrying the highest number of passengers ever in Sri Lankan Airlines history. Despite negative gains in Sri Lanka's aviation giant, China seems to be optimistic as China's homegrown C919 passenger jet completed its long-delayed maiden flight today. This is a major first step for Beijing as it looks to raise its profile in the global aviation market and boost high-tech manufacturing at home. Under overcast skies, the white, green and blue aircraft with C919 emblazoned on its tail touched down at Shanghai's International Airport after an 80-minute flight to cheers from thousands of dignitaries, aviation workers and enthusiasts. The jet is a symbol of China's ambitions to muscle into a global jet market estimated to be worth $2 trillion over the next 2 decades. In other business stories, the Colombo bourse extended gains to wrap up the week's operations on a positive note. Market turnover accumulated just over 750 million rupees. At the end of today's session, foreign investors were net buyers of 82 million rupees worth of shares. Foreign participation was 26% of the market activity. Here is Imeshi Fernando from the Colombo Stock Exchange with the full report.
The benchmark all-share price index gained 38.13 points to close at 6,640.57, while the S&P Sri Lanka 20 index gained 16.54 points to close at 3,801.69. The turnover was 767.47 million rupees with 44.2 million shares changing hands in 7,053 trades. The market capitalization at the end of the day was 2,926.91 billion rupees. Top 5 gainers of the day were Amanata Kaful, Brak Lanka Finance, SNB Leasing, Swarnamahal Financial Services and Serendip Engineering, while the top 5 losers were PC Pharma, Radiant Gems, Serendip Hotels, Palm Garden Hotels and Lucky Lanka. Today's foreign purchases were 238.96 million rupees and foreign sales were 156.52 million rupees. There were 3 crossings today and the crossings turnover was 145.78 million rupees.
The Sri Lankan rupee traded slightly higher today on dollar selling by exporters, while the market awaited inflows from sovereign bond and syndicated loans. Rupee forwards were active as 2-week forwards traded a tad firmer at 153 rupees and 15 to 30 cents per dollar. Here's a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other currencies during the day today. Attorney General's Department expects to file cases under the civil or criminal law against persons found to be culpable over the controversial bond issue of February 27, 2015. Additional Solicitor General Bulletin de Oliveira told the Commission of Inquiry probing the controversial bond issuance today that they would file cases if they find it is necessary after studying the evidence and documents produced by witnesses before the Commission.
Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, Nandalal Veerasinghe, appeared before the Commission of Inquiry today, and Senior State Counsel Shahida Bari led the evidence towards tender committee accepting bids worth 10.8 billion rupees at the bond auction held on the 27th of February 2015. However, while the Deputy Governor was testifying before the Commission, the Council representing former Governor Arjuna Mahendran opposed the nature of the evidence presented, leading to a heated exchange of words. At the same time, Harsha Fernando, an attorney representing Deputy Governor P. Samarasiri, also expressed his objection. He said, although the relevant document that was being questioned on directly connected to his client, the AG's department did not question him regarding it. Responding to the statement, Deputy Solicitor General Bulletin de Oliveira mentioned to the Commission since the AG's department had a reservation regarding the evidence given by Deputy Governor P. Samarasiri, they did not ask the question from him. He went on to say the AG department's stance is that Deputy Governor P. Samarasiri had not fulfilled his duty according to the evidence collected so far. Responding, the attorney representing P. Samarasiri said proceedings of the Commission should not be partial to the Attorney General's department. Additional Solicitor General Bulletin de Oliveira affirmed that the Attorney General's department would file cases against the culprits if the AG department finds that it is necessary to do so.
We want to bring you some more local stories. Speaking in Parliament today, Foreign Minister Mangala Samaraweera said that Sri Lanka must forge ahead with strong links with the international community. He pointed out that isolating from the rest of the world will not augur well for the country.
Mr. Speaker, we all know that during the last decade or so, especially since the election of President Rajapaksa, Sri Lanka went against its traditional positions on the world stage, which led this country, which has moved along with the world community for many, many centuries, to a form of self-imposed self-isolation. However, thankfully, after the 8th of January 2015, as a result of the policy of engagement of the government led by President Sirisena and Prime Minister Wickremesinghe, the doors of the world's capitals which were closed to Sri Lanka have once again opened for Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is, of course, not a superpower. Our strength does not rely on acquisition and accumulation of military power. Our strength lies in harnessing our human resources, in building a strong democracy that is accountable to our own people, in protecting human rights, in learning from our past, and building a strong and inclusive nation.
The President and the Prime Minister will appoint a committee to address disruptions to essential services. Minister of Skills Development and Vocational Training Mahinda Samarasinghe made the revelation during a media briefing held in Colombo today, adding the matter was discussed at the previous cabinet meeting.
This decision was taken on the 25th of April and it was confirmed on the 2nd of May. That is the official decision. Some ministers highlight the inconveniences experienced by the general public due to sudden trade union action and protests relating to essential services such as medical, fuel distribution and transport. The necessity to avoid such was emphasized. The Cabinet agreed to let the President and the Prime Minister appoint a committee with necessary powers to address any such disruptions. The President and the Prime Minister will later make a decision on the appointment of its members.
Welcome back everyone. On to sports. Chairman of the Cricket Committee at Sri Lanka Cricket, Aravinda De Silva, has decided to resign from his post, citing personal reasons. The former World Cup winning batsman will step down from the committee with effect from the 30th of June. Sri Lanka Cricket has announced that his resignation has been handed over. Meanwhile, the president of SLC, Thilanga Sumathipala, said SLC intends to continue to engage De Silva's expertise on a consultancy basis. On to international news now. The U.S. House of Representatives approved a bill yesterday to repeal major parts of Obamacare and repeal it within a Republican health care plan, giving Donald Trump his biggest legislative victory in his term thus far. The vote was decided to 217 to 213, with no Democrats voting in favor of the bill. After numerous failures to deliver on his campaign promises, the bill's passage represents a step towards the fulfillment of a major one.
Shame! 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 Shame!
While the bill's passage in the House of Representatives marks a victory in a 7-year Republican quest to dismantle former President Barack Obama's signature health law, it is expected to face new hurdles in the Senate. The Republicans only have a 52-seat majority in the 100-seat chamber, and just a few Republican defections could sink the bill. Some 20 million Americans gained healthcare coverage under Obama's 2010 Affordable Care Act. Democrats are hopeful of a voter backlash in next year's midterm congressional elections. While citizens protested, Trump held a victory celebration in the White House Rose Garden.
We're going to get this passed through the Senate. I feel so confident.
On to weather now. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in most provinces tomorrow afternoon. Fairly heavy falls of about 75 millimeters can be expected in some areas in the western, Samaragamua, central, northwestern, north central and southern provinces. Here's a look at your city-by-city forecast. Well, that is a part of your world tonight right here on Other Derana 24/7. I'm Mahesh Johnny. Thank you very much for joining us. Before we go, we like to leave you with aerial visuals of our picturesque nation that holds historic monuments belonging to different centuries. Thank you for joining. Good night.
Information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.